Did you?
Yeah, we came together.
Did you really?
Absolutely.
Oh, very cool. Great.
At 51, Leonardo DiCaprio's life is not just a story of fame and fortune, it's a heartbreaking tragedy of ambition, sacrifice, and the cost of success. How does a man who has conquered Hollywood's biggest stages, who has battled the odds, still feel like something is missing? Let's dive deep into the untold story of the man behind the icon. For over 2 decades, Leonardo DiCaprio fought not only to prove himself to the world, but to come to terms with a fame that haunted him. From being the underdog to Hollywood royalty, his journey is one of struggle, perseverance, and an overwhelming desire to be seen for more than just the roles he played. His career has been built on iconic performances, but his personal life especially. His quest for validation has been just as complicated as his biggest characters. Let's go back to where it all began, the rough, unforgiving streets of East Hollywood. DiCaprio wasn't born into the luxuries of stardom. Far from it. He grew up in a world where survival wasn't guaranteed. In the heart of Los Angeles, where dreams collided with reality, DiCaprio's mother, Malene, fought to keep a roof over their heads. She worked multiple jobs, did everything she could to give her son a shot at a future beyond the mess. She was trying to escape. The streets he grew up on weren't glittering with Hollywood fame. They were filled with violence, poverty, and the harsh realities that no child should face. And yet, in this environment, something extraordinary was born. DiCaprio didn't let the world's rejection break him. It made him stronger. More determined by the time he was 10, DiCaprio had learned life's toughest lessons. Hollywood was a city that didn't care about the struggling kid from the wrong side of the tracks. It didn't offer handouts. It demanded you fight for every inch. It was here, in these harsh streets, that DiCaprio's survival instinct kicked in. This wasn't a childhood full of playdates and birthday parties. It was a childhood spent dodging trouble, watching his mother struggle, and seeing the ugly side of life. Yet, through all the adversity, a promise was born. He would never let his mother's sacrifices be in vain. He would
You have called me a liar and a thief and a war
fight to make sure she didn't have to struggle any longer. And to do that, he would become somebody. So at just 12 years old, Leonardo DiCaprio took his first step into the world of acting. Audition after audition, rejection after rejection. He was told time and again that he wasn't what they were looking for. Yet, he didn't quit. He wasn't like the other kids. He had something they didn't, an unbreakable will to make it. By 1990, he had landed his first role on Parenthood, a minor part on a family sitcom. It wasn't much, but it was a start. And for DiCaprio, that was all he needed, just a crack in the door. It was a door that would soon lead him into a world of much greater challenges and greater rewards, but the road was far from easy. Time he joined Growing Pains in 1991, DiCaprio was being molded into a television star. For most actors, that's a dream come true. But for him, it felt like a trap. He wasn't just looking for fame, he was looking for respect. He wanted to prove that he was more than the pretty face on a teen show. And for him, that meant escaping the role of the cute TV kid.
Just one more movie. One more movie.
He'll do it.
Before it defined him for good. At 18, his breakthrough came. DiCaprio was cast in this boy's life, a gritty drama opposite Robert De Niro. It was a role that demanded more from him than he'd ever given before. It was raw, emotional, and a huge test of his acting chops. And yet, when the film was released, the critics took notice. DiCaprio had arrived. The young actor had proven that he was not just a sitcom star, he was an artist. But even with his newfound recognition, DiCaprio still faced a mountain of challenges. Hollywood didn't just accept you because you could. It tested you over and over. Doors were still closed. Offers were few and far between. But DiCaprio kept pushing, never accepting no as the final answer. The world started to take notice. But it wasn't until
liar and a thief and a war profiteer.
Witness will restrain his
Why not tell the truth?
1993's What's Eating Gilbert Grape that DiCaprio solidified his place as one of the greatest actors of his generation. His portrayal of Arnie, a developmentally disabled young man, was so powerful, so raw, that it stunned audiences and critics alike. It wasn't just acting, it was a complete transformation. Critics were amazed by his ability to disappear into the role, to completely become the character. At 19, he earned his first Oscar nomination for Best Supporting Actor. But even with that recognition, DiCaprio's battle was far from over. The industry, slow to embrace him, still didn't know what to do with him. Then came Romeo plus Juliet in 1996. A modern take on Shakespeare's classic, it turned DiCaprio into a global sensation. But it also trapped him. In a role he had no interest in, DiCaprio knew the fame was fleeting. He needed something that would truly challenge him. Something that would elevate him beyond the teen idol persona the world had saddled him with, but nothing could prepare him for Titanic in 1997. The movie became a global phenomenon, and DiCaprio was thrust into an unimaginable level of fame, but with it came something darker. The world didn't see him as an actor anymore. They saw Jack Dawson. The world didn't know him. They only knew his character. The fame was instantaneous. DiCaprio became a global icon. But it wasn't long. Before the pressure became suffocating, the tabloids, the fans, the paparazzi, it was all too much. The movie star that DiCaprio had become was now more important than the actor. Behind the roles, the fame wasn't the blessing DiCaprio had expected. It was a curse. The very thing he had spent his whole life working for, the success he had fought for, began to feel like a prison. The roles he wanted, those challenging, serious roles, were slipping away. Hollywood had labeled him not as a respected actor, but as a Hollywood poster boy. It wasn't until 2000 when DiCaprio began to reinvent himself. But with every reinvention, there was a cost. A price that even DiCaprio didn't anticipate. Despite critical acclaim for Catch Me If You Can and The Aviator, the Academy Awards still rejected him. 5 nominations, no wins. The industry continued to doubt him. DiCaprio's Oscar was becoming a joke. The internet and media had created a meme out of his pursuit of the golden statue. The memes became more than jokes. They became a symbol of the cruel reality DiCaprio faced. No matter how much he gave, no matter how perfect his performances were, the recognition he craved seemed out of reach. And then came The Revenant in 2015. DiCaprio put his body through hell for the role. Enduring brutal conditions in the Canadian wilderness, he ate raw bison liver, spent hours submerged in freezing rivers, and crawled through snow for scenes that pushed his limits. It was as if the film itself became a test of endurance, a fight for the Oscar he had been denied for decades. DiCaprio's performance in The Revenant was unlike anything he had done before. It was primal, desperate, and full of raw emotion. Critics couldn't ignore it. The world couldn't ignore it. Finally, after years of chasing it, DiCaprio won the Oscar. But was it worth it? The accolades felt hollow after all those years of struggle. In the years since, DiCaprio has continued to use his fame for greater causes. His Leonardo DiCaprio Foundation has raised millions of dollars for climate change, wildlife protection, and conservation. Yet, despite his contributions, DiCaprio's lifestyle still draws criticism. Flying private jets to climate summits, vacationing on luxury yachts, his actions have often been at odds with the message he preaches. His romantic life, too, has been the subject of intense scrutiny. For years, DiCaprio has been linked to young women, often under the age of 25. The pattern has been mocked, analyzed, and criticized. Critics argue that his relationships are indicative of deeper issues with maturity, while his defenders claim he's simply living his life on his terms. But the question remains, why does DiCaprio continue to follow this pattern? Why does he keep the world at a distance? Is it fear? Is it vanity? Or is it something deeper, something only DiCaprio himself truly understands? At 51, Leonardo DiCaprio has won everything. An Oscar, millions of fans, a legacy. Yet, there's a part of him that remains unreachable, even to himself. Fame, wealth, and success have brought him no closer to happiness, no closer to understanding what it is he's really searching for. In the end, the tragedy of Leonardo DiCaprio isn't that he failed, it's that he succeeded, and it still wasn't enough. The price of his ambition, of his fame, of his Oscar, was the man he might have been had he stopped chasing validation and allowed himself to be loved for who he truly is. DiCaprio's journey is not just a tale of a Hollywood icon, it's a cautionary story for anyone who believes that fame and success will fill the emptiness within. At 51, Leonardo DiCaprio has everything. Yet, the emptiness remains, an unspoken truth that no award, no movie, no relationship could ever fill.